Welcome to the Lorecast, where we look into the lore and the stories by which we live. I'm Dr. Craig Chalquist, and you can find us at chalquist.com/podcast and at a number of other online venues. I think of this episode as a kind of maybe mini training or even public service announcement to the folks who train technical support people, those who program smart speakers and other kinds of tech that talks to us, makes noises, beeps at us, flashes at us. And I'd use a lot of tech. I like gadgets, but aside from that, I need a lot professionally. And I have the experience of being not a programmer level expert by any means. I don't code or anything like that, but I use tech a lot. So I would like to do something that constitutes both a series of suggestions and a mini rant. I imagine that some of the listeners will disagree with some of what I say, but I think a lot more of you will relate to it, actually. And I want to say up front that I respect the intention to give the end user, customer, whatever you want to call us, a better experience with technology. Especially at a time when it feels like half the country is not even doing its job. From bureaucrats who won't get back to you to all kinds of impossible things to deal with. If people would just do their jobs, Congress. So I respect the impulse that suggests let's make things easier for people. Let's humanize interactions with technology and all that. Okay, so I'm going to help you with this because there's some areas where you're definitely getting it wrong, at least for users like me. And I'm going to lead off with one I dealt with just this morning, and this is directed at anyone at Apple who is in charge of smart speakers. The HomePod Mini, for instance, which all by itself is an awful name. I can hardly ever remember it. But there's been an update to it so that now when I ask the smart speaker to do something, it says, mm-hmm, or it repeats back to me what I asked it to do. Volume lowered to 20%. Now, the reason I use this brand of smart speaker is, for one thing, they have a pretty good sound. And for another, I was using Amazon speakers for a while, and more they started to try to sell me stuff I didn't want, and I can't have that in my own home. So I would ask for some music that I knew was on the list of music that I had linked to the speakers, so it wasn't like I didn't own it already. And it would say some version of, that's not on the list, but would you like to buy this and that and this? And it would give me this like 10-second ad, and I went, I can't stand this, so I got rid of them. So the Apple HomePod Minis are less intrusive that way, way less intrusive, which is good. Incidentally, I had a partner a while back who tried the Google version of all this, and it was even worse in terms of salesmanship, so couldn't stand that either. But what these Apple speakers are now doing is friendly vocalizations, right? Okay. I'm not telling the speakers to do things because I'm lonely and I need a machine to pretend to be a human companion. I'm telling them to do things because I want to listen to music, or I want a reminder or a timer on or something like that. Just do it, okay? Don't tell me what you're doing. Don't repeat back to me what you're doing. Just do it, and I'll be happy. The same with Siri on my damn phone. Same thing, right? Okay, that's the first example. And as a sidebar, I want to acknowledge, there's a certain amount of privilege that goes with all this because some people can't even afford a phone or a computer, let alone speakers. So I get that, right? Okay, let's talk about tech support in terms of echoing things back. And I want to say right up front, this is not the fault of tech support people. So when you're dealing with somebody in tech support who does one of these annoying behaviors, don't blame them. It's the way they're trained. And sometimes management at these companies requires that they do this. And I know this because many decades ago, when I was a teenager, I used to work for fast food restaurants mainly because my Republican parents said that you always have to work no matter how soulless and horrible it was. So I was working at McDonald's and they told us that they were going to actually, they had some kind of weird point system and they were going to take off points if we didn't do suggestive sales all the time, right? Would you like some fries with that? Which always got an irritated look from the customer. Nobody did what they did in the training film and said, "Yeah, I forgot fries. Thanks so much." So I get that the tech support people are trained to do this. I don't blame them at all. But it is still annoying when you call tech support or when you're chatting with them and they repeat the problem back to you, right? I'm hearing that this. Yeah, you're hearing it and you're reading it. That's exactly what I just typed into the screen. Can we solve it? And along similar lines, there's this weird culture in tech now where they seem to think that you're calling for therapy. So, your email goes down, let's say, and this happened to me recently. And, I open a chat because I'm feeling introverted and I don't want to talk to anybody. And I need my email back. So I start chatting. And this tech support person, again at Apple, by the way, but it happens at other places too. "How are you today?" And I go, "Fine." And I'm being polite because what I really wanted to say was, "My email's broken and I'm in a really bad mood because of it. Can we just fix it?" And I don't like being rude to people who are just doing what they're trained to do or doing what they're ordered to do. But to the trainers, I want to say, just stop, okay? Just stop with the people asking us how we are and what we're up to and where we live. And, "Are you having a good day today?" Well, I was before this interaction. I was before the email provided by your company and not updated for about 8 centuries. Decided to tank for no reason. Glad you asked. How are you? Be honest, you hate your job, don't you? You have to deal with troubled, frightened, anxious, or irritable customers all day. Your company doesn't pay you enough to live anywhere near where its headquarters are. Maybe they were in the Bay Area. Maybe they moved out, bought up some land, and colonized some other place. No, I get it. Actually, sometimes I'm tempted to go into Mr. Rogers mode and go, "I like how you asked me that. Yeah, sure, sure. What's a big, strong, smart fella like you doing in the corporate world, huh? Let's all go to the Magic Kingdom." So I actually hung up on tech support this week, or can you hang up on them if it's a chat? Is that still considered hanging up on them? I guess so. But they came on and, "How are you today? Give me a minute to look up your account," which is fine. "Where are you located?" And, now if it's a security question, I get that. But this was like small talk. And then, I mentioned in the chat, I told what the problem was and, my level of experience with the operating system is and all that. And the person starts walking me through these really elementary things. And I said, "Yeah, I tried all that. I did shut the program off and restart it. I did shut the computer off and restart it and all that." And after 8 or 9 of these and the time's going by and I'm a busy person, it's the end of the semester and I hung up. This is getting us nowhere. Goodbye. And called back. And this person, I don't know if they were in violation of their training protocol or not, but they were super helpful. This person said, "Hi, sorry you're having problems. I got your account right here. Um, did you try this or that?" And I hadn't. So I tried those. Problem fixed. I said, "Brilliant. Thank you so much." And then at the end, they got a little therapy oriented, "Well, we did this as a team." And I was like, "Okay, bye." So here's some suggestions for those of you who train tech support people. Uh, Friendly is good, but after hi, hello, get to the point, okay? Get right to the point and don't repeat it back to me. I already told it to you. It does me no good and causes me some frustration to hear exactly what I just told you the problem is repeated back to me word for word. It comes across as a therapy parody, actually. So Rogerian therapy has a lot of emphasis on empathy and, if I hear you correctly and all that stuff, right? And you're not even doing that right. You're just parroting. So just cut that whole piece out. And third suggestion, if you don't know how to fix the problem, get somebody else, okay? I can't tell you how much time I've wasted with tech support people who won't admit that this is just too much for them. They just have no idea what they're doing. So train people to get somebody else. Okay, we should talk a little bit about Amazon, who I try to deal with less and less because of their union busting, oppressive, Kafka esque labor practices. Oh my God. They're setting new standards in how to mistreat people. It's just incredible. Not even giving them breaks so they can take a leak. Drivers admitting that they're so behind schedules that they can't meet anyway. No human can. That they're peeing in bottles. It's just ridiculous. So I try to give them less and less of my money, but occasionally I buy things there. And what I don't want to see is when I go back to something I bought and it brings up a picture of a cute dog and says, "Oops, let's skip the dog." I get stupid dog pictures on Instagram all the time. I don't need any more dogs. I just need to be told it's not here and where I can go next. And for others doing 401 pages or whatever your equivalent is, don't be cute. It's not amusing to not find what you're looking for. Tell people what to do next, okay? I mean, here's some tech that works, although it's not intended for me. When I'm crossing a street and the signal's been modified so that blind people can use it, that gets to the point. Walk. Very good. Okay, here's another situation. In this situation, friendliness is being used as a substitute for service rather than an add on or something to make things easier. How many times do we have to call a business or some government agency to get something done or just to find out some information? And what you hear is a message saying, "We're experiencing unusually high volumes of people calling, chatting, whatever they're doing," right? Your patience is appreciated. Okay, well, I've just been calling you, for the past 6 months. There's something wrong with your hiring practices. If your business model includes frustrating the hell out of thousands of customers, your business model needs updating. It's not unusually high volume, it's unusually low volume of staff. That's the issue, okay? Be honest about it. What the message should say, and I would actually respect it if it did, would be our upper management has decided to cut expenses in a draconian way such that we don't have enough people to fulfill your inquiries. So sorry to make you wait. And I think some places have this as a permanent policy, like Vons and Safeway. You can go there at 6 o'clock in the morning and you'll still have to wait in line. So, a tip for employers or anybody else who's doing hiring in these organizations: if you're making people wait and wait and wait and the situation never changes, hire more people. There's a lot of people in this country who want to work. Hire them. And by the way, while you're at it, get rid of the wait music. Get rid of the wait music. Unless it's a stormy Beethoven piece that matches my irritation at your poor business planning, get rid of it. I don't need to listen to choirs singing or any of the other stuff that you guys put on while I'm waiting in intense irritation because you don't adequately staff your organization. And related to all of this, by the way, is our next favorite thing: menu trees. Yay! Don't you love menu trees? Don't you love calling with a very specific issue and it says, if you have this going on, press 1. If you have that going on, press 2. And none of them match, of course, what you're calling about. And here's the best part: there's no option to talk to a human. Yay! So you end up pressing any damn button, and then you get the billing people, even though you need tech help or whatever it is, and then they're irritated because you just called the wrong department. And then you have to tell them, I just wanted to talk to somebody. I don't care who it is. I just need someone to help me with this problem. And then you get the menu tree transfer. So then they go, let me transfer you to the proper department. And then 5 transfers later, you're still on the move, right? And the underlying problem here is that these understaffed, poorly business planned organizations also are trying to cut contact time. And they're doing it in such a way that you're being shuttled from one machine to another or one confused phone answerer to another. And what they're not getting is that there needs to be one person who takes all the calls, or even a couple of people. That would be even better, right? Give that one person a little time off. They take all the calls, they interact with all the customers, they know where to send everybody, and you can talk to them. You can actually reach them. And we have to remember that we've had more than 100 years of psychodynamic psychology studying the unconscious. So when things like this happen, there are reasons, there are unconscious motivations behind all of this. So, the motivation for an organization that sticks you in a phone tree from which there is no escape is fuck you. That's what they're telling you, right? Fuck you. We don't care about you. We don't care about your problem. We don't want to talk to you. We want your energy, your money, your time, and nothing else. All right? That's the message. So let's chop down the menu tree and the phone tree, and instead let's install a human being who we can actually talk to and explain things to. And once again, not because we want companionship, not because we need therapy, although we may need therapy after all this frustration. But what we want are answers. We want to go where the problem gets solved, okay? Is that really so hard to figure out? No. It sounds like you want me to be frustrated. How about that? Sure. And how many real trees did you chop down to make your phone tree, huh? Sure. All right, let's talk next about things that flash and beep at you. You love those. I know you do. All right, flashing and beeping. I have a porch heater that I bought. I wish I hadn't because it's getting cold this time of year, and I like to be warm while I sit on the porch, or at least not freezing to death. And it's got this little blue light, this heater, and when it's plugged in and it's not on, the heater's not on, the blue light flashes at you. And I thought, I must be doing something wrong. So I looked in the manual, I went online and all that. And there's all these customer complaints that the blue light is built in. Yes, folks, you're stuck with it. Isn't that great? And it's bright, right? So at night, it lights your whole porch up or wherever you have the damn thing. And it's hypnotic. I mean, it flashes and you start fantasizing about a pre-technology past where you didn't have all this crap squawking at you, and next thing you know, you're in a deep trance. And the only way to stop it is to unplug it, which means that every time you use the heater, if you don't want to have the light flashing in your face, you have to unplug it and replug it and unplug it, and it's just... Who thought of this, right? Who thought a constantly flashing blue light was a good idea? Who thought that every time a Prius 2019 backs up and the models before that, it would be really cool to have a beeping sound? Beep, 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 to let you know what you already know, that you're backing up. My car says I'm backing up. I must be backing up. What an orderly world I must be living in. Actually, I think the problem is that the people who make this stuff don't use it. They test it, but they don't test it for long enough to realize that after about the 100th time, the backing up noise is irritating. It starts taking up too much psychic space, right? Which maybe is the unconscious motive behind it. To colonize your consciousness, right? Same thing with this stupid portable hot tub I bought a while ago. I was living in a place where there was no bathtub, which is always a bummer for me. So I bought this tiny little hot tub, And it worked really great, except for the fact that whenever the filter clogged up, it would start beeping. And it would continue until you shut the entire system down and change the filter. Instead of just letting me know on my phone, I'm shutting down because the filter's clogged, beep, beep, beep. And then in the middle of the night, you would hear this thing going off. And you'd have to get up in the middle of the night and deal with it. Nope. Exit hot tub. And speaking of the middle of the night, some people have complained about this too, where it seems like everything you buy now has a little light on it, a yellow light, a red light, a blue light, a green light. And you walk into your room at night and it's like there's this forest of single eyed creatures staring at you in the darkness. What y'all doing in my bedroom tonight, huh? And there's also a push to make everything, quote, smart. You know, smart bathtub, smart toaster, smart spoon and knife, I guess. I don't know. It hasn't occurred to the people designing some of these things that A, we don't need them, and B, objects are kind of smart already. The things of the world have their own intelligence, their own presence. We don't need to give them one necessarily. It doesn't fill us with a world of animate things by putting chips in them or whatever it is that makes them talk to our phones all the time or our watches. I'm still trying to figure out smartwatches. I don't own one, but if it has to be connected to my phone and my phone's in my pocket, can I just reach into my pocket and get my phone? I guess that's too much trouble. I do like gadgets, like I said earlier, but not that much. It reminds me of the first Avengers film where Iron Man is standing on the bridge of that flying vessel, and there's control panels on the left and the right, and he says, "How does Fury access these?" And somebody says, "He turns." So I'm trying to think of a way to work in pop-up videos on phone, on the computer, on everything else, but that's not really friendly tech. That's just an assault, so I'll leave that off the list, aside from what I just said. But I will include autocorrect. Yay, autocorrect. And I have to slug Apple again because now when I input my email address somewhere, I'm only now learning that if I leave it the way it is, it will autocorrect it to a my mail some bullshit thing. It's so annoying. A clear design problem, right? If the default is some BS email address instead of mine, then that's a problem. So I often shut off autocorrect stuff. I'd rather make my own mistakes. I don't need tech mama hovering over me going, "No, spell it that way. No, when you said fuck, you really meant funny. No, I meant fuck." I wonder if there's such a term as techno-puritanism. It's this censorship nonsense where you see a word like fuck and where the U is, it has a little asterisk. Yeah, nobody knows what that means. I get it's to keep it out of certain kind of search engine problems, so which are their own form of puritanism, language policing. I mean, you can go online and see tons of pictures of usually movie posters, right, of men holding guns or people getting their heads cut off. That's okay to watch, but you can't swear. Swearing might damage our children. Yeah, like hypocrisy doesn't, right? So just now I used the internet to look up common tech irritations, and I found a couple of things. According to Tech Radar, the top irritation is Microsoft Windows. not even a specific issue, just Windows, right? Just Microsoft, which of course is one of the reasons I don't use them anymore. But right after that, it started listing skin irritations. Even though I said tech, I clearly specified tech irritations. It said skin, which kind of makes sense though in a way when you think about it. Technology, in a way, is our skin these days. In a really strange way. It's like our alternate skin. It's like an exoskeleton that we sit inside of all day. We're surrounded by it. If we have smart homes, we live inside them, right? It's amazing. I like music, and when I am talking to my Apple speakers and I tell them for the third time to play a music station that they've played a million times in the past, I realize I'm surrounded. There's one over there, there's one over there. Wow. Maybe I'll do a future podcast specifically on technology irritations, aside from the ones I mentioned this time, although that would be a long road to go down. You could think of so many right off the top of your head, like people who talk on speakerphone all the time. Their unconscious is hard at work for you and your ears, right? Look how important I am. Look how important I am. But maybe we'll do that down the road. And the last thing I'll mention for this is the notifications, mainly on the phone, but also other things that are defaulted to being on, right? So you get vibrations, you get beeps, you get emails, you get pop up messages every time something happens. Badges and beeps and bubbles, oh my. And then you have to go through and turn all of them off and, wonder if you turned off something essential. But, it reminds me of how the founder of positive psychology used to shock dogs into helplessness. And makes me wonder if we aren't doing that to ourselves with the help of technology. This constant interruption of conversations, of thinking, of feeling. I wonder how many of us can actually sit with an unpleasant emotion. Probably not 1 in 1,000. How many of us can spend even 15 minutes in reflection or meditation without checking some device? Psychoanalyst friend of mine long ago, when phones got popular, referred to them as the electronic umbilical cord. What does it mean that we're raising a generation of people who can't focus, or who can only focus when things are at a high rate of speed? There's recent TV shows I don't even try to watch because I can't understand what's being said. It's too fast. There's no break, there's no pause, there's no thought. It seems like the people who design all this are caught up in what I think of as a machine's idea of service. An idea that friendly tech can somehow replace or stand in for human contact. I think the people who design this stuff don't get out much, honestly, because it seems never to occur to them that that's what we have each other for. Communion, companionship, friendly conversation. That's what relationships are about. But if you're only relating to machinery, then I guess it would make a kind of odd sense that you would want a device to say please or thank you or mm-hmm. And for me, this raises troubling questions like, if that's mostly what we hear, does it numb us to human contact? Certainly it numbs us to considerations of who builds this stuff, of the countries we raid for the materials, of the wage slave workforce, or in some countries not even wage, just slave. And where does it all go when we're done with it, right? We don't see that part. So my hope in all this is that when we get sick of all the friendly mechanical voices and beeps and flashes and pop-ups and badges and all the rest of it, that maybe we'll push back. Maybe we'll insist that our technologies be mindful rather than mind-numbing and heart-numbing. And that maybe we'll use all this whole experiment in tech, for insight into how to be at least somewhat friendlier to each other. Imagine that. Thank you.